Welcome into the Los Angeles Lakers Report. I'm Chase Sr. with Chat Sports. Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic week. And we start off with injury news on Andre Drummond. It's unbelievable what has happened to this team of late because the injury bug continues to bite this squad. Drummond made his highly anticipated debut with the Lakers last night, and unfortunately, it was cut short. Exited the game after playing only 14 minutes. He hurt his right big toe after getting stepped on by Brook Lopez. If there's one thing I don't want to happen to me on the basketball court, it's to get stepped on by a 7+ footer who weighs like 265 pounds. That's what happened to Andre Drummond. And the injury, somewhat ugly, although it's not expected to be all that serious. Here's what Drummond had to say about that toe injury. He said, "In that first quarter when I came out, Brook had stepped on my foot. I didn't really think anything of it, but I came back in the second quarter and it started hurting more. And then after halftime, I finally took my sock off to look and my whole toenail was gone. So it was just all bad from there. I couldn't walk or run, so I just told coach to take me out." A toenail off of your big toe. Like, that's where you put all of your weight. And for Andre Drummond, a center with all of that weight on that foot, to have no toe, nail, ouch. That doesn't sound good at all. Now, this injury isn't expected to linger for a long time. Andre Drummond is listed day-to-day as of right now. But I want to pose this question for you guys because this has to be a very rare injury, even though there's a lot of bodies banging down low on the basketball court. Have you ever lost a toenail? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Luckily for your boy over here, I have not. Now, as I mentioned, this injury isn't going to keep Andre Drummond out of the lineup for an extended period of time. The Lakers did take x-rays. They came back negative. He is going to be reevaluated today, and as of right now, Drummond is listed as day-to-day. I mentioned he only played 14 minutes. Here's what he did in that small sample size. He went 2 of 6 from the floor, scored 4 points, brought down 1 rebound, dished out 2 assists. This is a guy who hasn't played since mid-February, so he was a little rusty in terms of the flow of the game, but I actually thought that considering that he hadn't played in more than a month, he looked pretty good. And Frank Vogel used him as a playmaker on offense a little bit, so when he does get back on the floor for LA, you can expect the offense to run through him at times, especially with LeBron and AD out right now. And the thing with Andre Drummond, he's one of the best rebounders in the league. He's averaging 13 rebounds per this season. He's going to bring this team a lot of energy, whether LeBron is in the lineup, AD is in the lineup, or not. This is a guy who can be a spark plug as a starter or a bench player. But LeBron goes down with a high ankle sprain. Anthony Davis is still out for the foreseeable future because of that calf injury. And now Andre Drummond is out with this toe injury. I'm sure Laker Nation has to be really frustrated that the injury bug continues to haunt and hover over this team. So what is your level of frustration with the Lakers' injuries right now? This is your opportunity to vent and show your frustrations. Get into the comments and scale it for me from 1 to 10. I'm going all the way up to 9. I mean, LeBron gets hurt. AD gets hurt. Alex Caruso a couple weeks ago bangs his head on the floor. Then Andre Drummond, a huge pickup for this team when they really need a playmaker like this, gets hurt in his first game. An ugly, weird injury like this. A lot of frustration with this Lakers group right now. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Fanatics. So it's springtime, and if you're living in the Los Angeles area, the weather's always nice out there. And we're living in Texas here, weather's always nice here. But it is springtime now, summer is on the horizon, so the weather is only going to improve. And we have an awesome deal going on Fanatics right now. So if you go to chatsports.com/LakersGear, a bunch of great deals on some of these products. You look at those 3 masks that we just showed you, you can get a 3-pack for under $13. And you might be feeling down about this Lakers team because they've been struggling of late without their star players. If you want to turn the clocks back and remember that Larry O.B. championship from last year, you can do so because there are championship t-shirts on sale as well. And then the Showtime Lakers, classic Lakers, going back to Magic Johnson and Kareem, maybe even Kobe and Shaq. This franchise, man, it's always in line with the Showtime Lakers, so you can get one of those shirts as well. And then here's another deal on a championship shirt as well. So again, chatsports.com/Lakers gear, a bunch of fantastic deals going on right now for this Lakers spring sale. We know that the Lakers signed Andre Drummond to a contract until the end of the season, but this summer, he's set to be an unrestricted free agent. So what's going to happen with him in the future? He did sign a deal for about $800,000 to play the remaining of the 2020-2021 season, and he's going to hit the open market after this year. So this is very interesting to follow because Andre Drummond in his career so far, he's made $136+ million. He's set to be 28 soon. So is Andre Drummond going to try to secure the bag once again in free agency? With the Cavaliers, he was making around $28 million. Or is he going to be influenced by the Lakers' winning culture? Is he going to be influenced playing around guys like LeBron James and Anthony Davis for a franchise that, unlike Detroit, unlike Cleveland, competes for championships every single year and has a proud history? Will he take less money to play for a team like the Lakers? That's something to follow as he enters free agency after this season. I'll tell you this, the Lakers brought him in for him to help them this year, but they also have hopes that Andre Drummond is going to continue to be a part of this franchise for years to come. That includes Rob Pelinka. That includes Frank Vogel. They are interested in Andre Drummond's services beyond a title run for this upcoming season. And here's what Frank Vogel had to say about Drummond remaining with the Lakers moving forward into the future. And hey, a lineup of Schroeder, KCP, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Drummond for this year sets up very nicely. How about the future? This is what Vogel had to say. This summer will play out, and we'll let that happen when that happens, but we want him to help us during this championship run this season. We're hopeful that he's a Laker for a long time to come. That's what we're envisioning, that he's a key piece for us in the short term and the long term, as I mentioned. So, Laker Nation, he played 14 minutes in his debut with the Lakers. I know you haven't seen him play much, but this is a guy with the Cleveland Cavaliers earlier this season, 17 points per game, 13.5 rebounds. He can really control the paint, rebound the basketball at an elite rate. Maybe you want him back. We'll see. Now, let's take a look at the Lakers cap situation here. We have red showing because the Lakers are going to possibly be in the red financially. The Lakers enter the summer with $110 million in guaranteed salaries. That's $2 million below the projected salary cap. And Drummond, he is eligible to sign a $10.1 million mid-level exception, so the Lakers could bring him back for an affordable price. Here's the thing, though. Lakers have a lot of free agents coming up this summer, including Dennis Schroeder, who reportedly just turned down a contract extension. Why? I think he's crazy. Hey, that's his money. Wesley Matthews, also going to be an unrestricted free agent. Talen Horton-Tucker, a guy that the Lakers really love, going to be a restricted free agent. Alex Caruso is going to hit the open market. He could demand around $10 million. And then Markieff Morris signed a one-year contract prior to this season as well. So the Lakers cap situation moving forward with a guy like Andre Drummond, who on the open market could demand $15 to $20 million, they're not in a great spot. That's why I want to ask you guys this, Laker Nation. Should the Lakers re-sign Andre Drummond? If you think they should bring him back, if he's affordable to do so, type S for sign. If you think the Lakers can afford to pass on him and he's just a half-season rental for them to chase a championship this year, you can get into the comments and type P for pass. Here on the Lakers Report, we're moving at a steady clip. We're putting multiple videos out every single week. When Andre Drummond signed on Sunday, we put a video out right away. And this is a large family. That's why we call it Laker Nation and the Lakers Report. We are north of 34,000 subscribers. Don't you want to be a part of this crew and this family? So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so right now. Hit that big red button down below and subscribe to our Lakers channel. It's at youtube.com/LakersTV. News, rumors, trades, and signings. We're bringing all of that to you right here on the channel. So the Brooklyn Nets have made a flurry of moves over the last couple of weeks. They've been busy in the buyout market, kind of like the Los Angeles Lakers were signing Andre Drummond. And this is funny because a lot of people believe that the Nets have brought in Blake Griffin and they've brought in LaMarcus Aldridge because they are chasing the Lakers for a championship this year when the Lakers are healthy. And when you put these lineups side to side against one another, I think this could be an awesome NBA Finals matchup. Now, I will say this. Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, they are not in their primes right now. Blake Griffin averaging 8.5 points per game, LaMarcus Aldridge a tick under 14. They were brought in for insurance, for depth, for playoff experience. So when people say, oh my gosh, the Nets have a lineup of Harden, Kyrie, KD, Blake, and LaMarcus Aldridge, that is a ridiculous lineup. Yeah, maybe like 4 years ago. Not as much right now, but a lot of people believe that the Nets and their front office have made these moves because they're trying to catch the Lakers for a potential run at a championship this year. And Jeanie Buss was on with Stephen A. Smith on Stephen A.'s World, and Stephen A. asked Jeanie Buss about the Nets ring chasing and star chasing. And this is what Jeanie Buss had to say. It brings out the best in us. When teams identify us as the team to beat and they gear up to go at us head to head, that makes us work harder. So bring it on. I absolutely love that last sentence from Jeanie Buss. Bring it on. What is Jeanie Buss's swag meter? I want you to get into the comments and scale it for me from 1 to 10. This girl has a little sass. She's got a little swagger, she's got some confidence, and she's basically saying, Brooklyn, you can make all the moves you want. Bring in Blake. Bring in LaMarcus Aldridge. We still have LeBron and AD, and when we are fully healthy, we think we can beat everybody. Love that attitude, love that confidence from Jeanie Buss. So scale it for me, her swag meter from 1 to 10. If you made it this far, probably means you like what you've seen here on the Lakers Report. So do me a favor, if you haven't already done so, and if I didn't convince you earlier to subscribe to the channel, do so right now. Hit that big red button down below. I'm Chase Senior with Chat Sports, and you are watching the Lakers Report.